trade deadlines are looming in fantasy football leagues. We give you names to consider on both sides of the divide before the window to make moves closes. With trade deadlines looming, it's crunch time on the open market. Owners on the playoff bubble have precious little time to improve their teams for the stretch run. Those who have already clinched, or in good position to do so, should be looking to cash in depth to improve their starting lineups for the postseason. With the waiver wire a bit picked over, a trade is an excellent way to shore up your roster. The general goal when assessing trade prospects is to buy low and sell high, but there are times when buying high and selling low makes sense, as well. And, as always, you want to be a trustworthy and responsible trade partner. No one likes the owner in their league who regularly offers terrible trades or goes into trade talks looking to make an unbalanced deal. Looking at multiple factors for a trade target, such as schedule, potential floor and ceiling, and health of surrounding teammates, will serve you best. You'll see references to 4for4's schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed FPA metric in this column, which we rely on heavily to determine weekly matchup strength. As the season progresses and more data is available, FPA becomes even more reliable, thanks to its rolling 10-week data. Each week, I'll take a look at the top players to target, and those you should aim to sell to get the best value moving forward. Here's this week's crop of players. By Drew Brees, QB, Saints. Brees is behind his typical pace, averaging 17.36 fantasy points per game through 8 games. That would be his lowest mark since 2007, and the first time since 2010 that he didn't put up at least 20 fantasy points per game. The Saints have leaned on their run game more than ever in the Brees era, and it's impossible to argue with the success they've had riding Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Still, this is Drew Brees. He's a top-tier quarterback, one that you can count on regardless of matchup. This is a guy I want under center for the fantasy playoffs. As a bonus, the Saints play the Falcons twice and the Jets in the fantasy postseason, teams ranked 17th and 31st in FPA against quarterbacks, respectively. Understand, however, that you're not going to steal Brees. He will cost you, but it will be worth it. Want more in-depth fantasy analysis? Click here for a free 7-day trial with our partners at 4for4 Football, home of the most accurate fantasy football predictions since 2010. Christian McCaffrey, Air Bay, Panthers. The Panthers rookie played 82% of the snaps in Week 9, leading the offense with 15 carries, a career-high 66 rushing yards, and the first touchdown on the ground of his career. His uptick in touches possibly stemmed from Jonathan Stewart's 2 fumbles, but McCaffrey proved that he can handle the workload. He has already shown his talent as a receiver, leading the Panthers in targets and receptions this season, hauling in 54 of 72 for 406 yards. With Carolina in a battle for control of the NFC South, McCaffrey should see plenty of work moving forward, and is a priority trade target for me, especially in PPR formats. Marquise Lee, WR, Jaguars. With Leonard Fournette inactive in Week 9, Lee was a focal point of the Jaguars' offense, catching a team-high 8 balls for 75 yards and a touchdown. That makes 3 games in a row with at least 72 receiving yards for Lee, and there may be no end in sight. In Weeks 12 through 16, the Jaguars face 4 teams ranked 20th or worse in wide receiver FPA. Lee should be attainable in a trade, especially if his owner in your league is strong at receiver. Tyler Kroft, Bengals. Since becoming the Bengals' starting tight end in Week 3, Kroft has a 93% snap rate, taking the field for 315 out of 337 Bengals plays. In that time frame, Kroft has scored the 3rd most fantasy points among Andy Dalton's weapons, and he's second on the team in targets behind A.J. Green. Cincinnati's opponents during the fantasy playoffs average an FPA of 12.32 opposing tight ends, which bodes well for Kroft's production. Kroft doesn't have a monster ceiling, but he has been a consistent mid-tier to low NTE1 all season. That reliability makes him quite the fantasy asset. Marcus Mariota, QB, Titans Tennessee's third-year quarterback was able to throw for 218 yards with 2 touchdowns against the Ravens' fourth-ranked pass defense in Week 9, numbers that are more impressive than they seem on the surface. Mariota finally has a healthy Corey Davis, giving him a solid arsenal with the underappreciated Rishard Matthews and Delaney Walker. The Titans' remaining schedule features the 23rd, 25th, 26th and 27th ranked defenses against quarterbacks in FPSL Mike Evans, Wr. Buccaneers. Things are unraveling in Tampa Bay, with Jameis Winston out due to a shoulder injury, and Evans serving a 1-game suspension for fighting. With Ryan Fitzpatrick under center F.